Welcome to 30 Days to Becoming a Better Speaker. For so many people, they struggle with speaking, public speaking. If I could get rid of that word, I so would. And the reason I would get rid of it is because we all speak in public all of the time. You've been speaking in public since you could speak, literally since you uttered your first words, you've been speaking in public. However, when we use that terminology, when we say, I've got to do some public speaking, I've got to do a presentation, all kinds of things start to come up for us. And we start to feel anxious, we start to feel fearful, we're worried about judgment, we're worried about things going wrong, about us saying the wrong things, about people thinking that we are not smart enough to be in the room, that we may have missed something, that we've got it wrong. The list goes on and on and on and on. And we can also feel inauthentic when we stand up to speak. We can feel like we're trying to be someone that we're not. We're trying to pretend to be smarter, wiser, more experienced, older, younger, whatever it might be. And we create these ideas about not being enough when we're speaking, which obviously impacts on how we speak, because everything that you think, every single thing that you think will leak out of your body somehow or another. Now, none of it is your fault. None of it is your fault. These things have been, these ideas, these stories, these narratives, you've inherited from people around you. Maybe you had a nervous parent who didn't like speaking in public. Maybe you had a boss who hated it. Maybe you had one disastrous speech at some point in your life. And now that has become the narrative that you carry with you. And I see this so often with my clients. In fact, just the other day, I was working with a lady and she realized that she'd been carrying around one presentation that didn't go brilliantly. It wasn't a disaster. It just didn't go brilliantly. She'd been carrying that narrative around since she was 21. And let's just say she's not 21 anymore, but that had been her story. And she realized that the way that she'd been preparing and all those speeches she'd done in between had actually been really good. But in her mind, she was still presenting in the way that 21-year-old did, and it was still not great. So you can see how this wonky thinking, I like to call it wonky thinking, it's not bad, it's not terrible, it's just a bit wonky. It's not quite rolling straight, like when you get those supermarket trolleys and you've got one kind of wonky wheel. It's a little bit like that. It starts to make everything really, really tricky. So it isn't your fault, and it is totally possible to rewire that thinking, which is exactly what we're going to be doing in the Influential Leadership for Women program. And we will have space and we will have time to unpick all those wonky supermarket wheels, oil them, put them back on, so pushing that trolley just becomes so much easier for you. But in the meantime, I know what it's like when you've decided you want to do something, when you have decided now is the time, I want to get better. You just want to get in there and start doing it. So there are ways to create quick wins. There are ways to become a better speaker before we start to unpack all of that wonky thinking and start to create more helpful habits, more helpful thinking processes, and more helpful behaviors. So this is what 30 Days to Becoming a Better Speaker is all about. I'm going to work through 30 tips to help you become a more impactful speaker. Now, some of these tips are going to lie a little bit more on the surface. They're going to be things that you're going to do. But when we get into the program, we're going to start to think about all the things that you are thinking as well. Now, when we combine those two things together, what we get is long-term change. We get an ability for you to coach yourself in the future, to continue to expand what is possible for you. So if you try these tips and they don't work brilliantly first time, keep trying, keep applying them to different scenarios, and you'll find that they will often start to click. If they still don't click for you, don't worry. It means that there is some wonky thinking, that there is a narrative behind some of this that we need to just unpick a little, figure out what's going on, rewrite that, give you some more helpful thought processes, and then you'll probably find that that thing will just click instantaneously. It'll become an embodied practice and you probably won't have to think about it again. So don't worry if it doesn't all fall into place immediately. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of these things really, really quickly. The one thing that I would really love for you to hold in mind as you go through this process is that great speakers are made, not born. Okay, great speakers are made, not born. It's just when we see presenters on stage, when we see them speaking at conferences, when we see them present in our team meetings or to clients, they have spent time and energy and potentially money to get good at this, right? They didn't appear out of the womb being amazing presenters. They have spent time, energy, and money getting good at it. Okay, you have started this process. You have now invested in yourself. You are going to get good at this process. You are going to become a great speaker through experience, not because you were born that way. Okay, that means it's much more embedded, it's much more embodied, and you will be able to use it in so many more scenarios. So over the next 30 days, you're going to have a tip a day to implement at work so that you can become a more impactful speaker. Just try to remember, this is not once and done. It's not you watch the video, you do it once and then that's it. That tip is embodied and you know exactly how to use it and when to use it and where to use it, right? Speaking is a practice. And it literally means that we have to practice it. So keep revisiting the videos, keep using those skills, keep trying it in different scenarios, and keep curious. Okay, so when you use that thing, if it doesn't work, interesting, that didn't work. I wonder why. Rather than, oh, that didn't work, see, I'm terrible. Right? It's a very different mindset. So we want curiosity. Okay, it didn't quite work here. I wonder why. I wonder what I could do differently tomorrow or the next day or the day after that. But keep using all the skills so you're building them up through the 30 days. Are you ready? Okay. I am going to stop the video here and dive into the first tip in the next video. I'll see you there. Bye for now.